Hey, friendo, Steve here. So, like a lot of other people in this country and abroad, I went to go see Avengers Endgame last night with the movie squad. And, I laughed, I cried, thought it was awesome, thought it was great. Everybody, so far, it's been getting really, really good reviews across the board, and I'm just going to chip into that. Yeah, it's a really fun movie. It's a great movie. It's a really, really, really amazing way to punctuate the last 10 years, coming up on, I guess, 11 years now, huh? 11 years of really fantastic. The MCU, the whole shared universe thing. It'll be interesting to see where they go from here. But figured, like everybody else on YouTube, I'll go ahead and throw my 2 cents in and do a movie review on Avengers Endgame. So here it is. I found 10 specific things that I really, really loved about the movie. And I actually found 5 things that didn't work as well, but didn't really bug me because I'm willing to look past it because, let's face it, it was a freaking kick-ass movie. It was 3 hours long. It was very ambitious. They had to tie up literally 10 years of movies all in one 3-hour chunk, and I thought they did it absolutely masterfully. There were a couple things that I were kind of curious, though. We'll get to those a little bit later. Yes, this is going to be completely chock full of spoilers. If you're watching this and haven't seen the movie yet, this is where you can stop watching it, because I'm about to talk about shit that happened in the movie. So maybe don't watch this if you don't want stuff spoiled. I really love the movie. Go see it. Here's 10 things that I love about that movie. Number 1, didn't rely too heavily on Captain Marvel. As we saw at the end of her own movie, Captain Marvel, the movie, the character, Carol Danvers, is like supremely overpowered. She is slicing and dicing alien spaceships like they are butter. And it would have been kind of easy for her just to slice through Thanos too. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't explain that a bit more. I mean, I know Thanos is just like super overpowered himself, but I'm kind of glad they didn't rely on her too much. She served a function. She was great. I maybe could have used a bit more. I know that it's not really the time for jokes and quips and stuff like that, but maybe a couple more little character moments from Captain Marvel would have been cool. I really loved the little interaction between her and Spider-Man towards the very end of the movie when they were playing football with the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet. Little bits like that. I think there maybe could have been more of, but there's a time and place for that. I'm sure we'll get that in the further movies down the line. But I like that she wasn't like the focus, the sole focus. They used her to the perfect degree. They kept the focus mainly on Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor, and then of course the others were also heavily involved. But I kind of like that they kept the focus on the main 3 guys, so that was cool. Next, we got to see Korg and Valkyrie. We got to see people from Ragnarok, my favorite Marvel movie. That was awesome. Korg had like one of my favorite scenes in the entire thing when we're introduced to Fat Thor, and Korg was there, and I forget his little what's his little friend's name. Ooh. This is Meek. Is it Meek? Is that what it is? I don't know. Anyways, Korg was in it. Oh, boy. That gave me a lot of joy. He was playing video games. Oh, man. And Thor was like, don't let them bully you. That was great stuff. Oh, piss off, Ghost. Next. I really loved Perma-Hulk. I love the banner because, man, here's the thing. I'm old. I grew up in 1991 when Infinity Gauntlet, the comic book, came out. I was super into comics. And I was like a teenager, and it's really, really cool to see Banner turn into Hulk Banner, where he's smart, he's still Banner, but he's also the Hulk. That was an absolute joy to watch. The CG, the motion cap stuff that they have is exquisite. They went into some close-ups on Hulk that were just fantastic. I was like, holy crap. Like, they're not quite there. It's not quite touchable, but it's so close. It's so good. And of course he stole a lot of the scenes that he was in. Mark Ruffalo is just absolutely terrific. And I really love how this thread from Ragnarok, where he started down the path towards, you see Hulk sort of smartening up a little bit, and then they just completely merged the two of them. I was surprised. I was shocked. That's one thing to notice also, or to make note of, is I retweeted this on Twitter. I saw somebody else mention this, and it's totally true. The marketing of this movie was really fantastic in that They didn't show you anything. They did not show you a damn thing. I didn't even know this thing was going to be about time travel. And so they didn't, and so I didn't even notice, although I think like one of Bama's Happy Meals had Hulk in like a Avengers suit. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I wonder if they're going to do like if Hulk's going to be smart or Banner's going to be smart. My only problem with Hulk was that I really feel like he sort of deserved a one-on-one matchup with Thanos. And we didn't really get that. Given how he sort of lost to him. He lost their first match in Infinity War. We didn't get to see Hulk get his last word in on Thanos. Maybe it's not a big deal, whatever, but I think it was kind of deserved after, because they really made a big point of Hulk not appearing in the first in Infinity War beyond that first scene, how he was struggling with Banner. So I thought maybe they were going to pick that thread up a bit more in this one, but they kind of didn't. But whatever, I wasn't like disappointed. I mean, that was one of my things when and I understand they had Hulk functioning sort of in a different capacity plot wise towards the end of the film when Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man all confronted Thanos. I kind of feel like Hulk needed to be there as well, but whatever, that's sort of quibbling. Let's see here next. Oh man, holy crap! Speaking of which, the Asgardians of the Galaxy. Please, somebody tell me that Thor is going to be a major player in Guardians 3. That would be amazing, and it seems like at the end of this movie they totally set that up. I know that Disney is going ahead with the James Gunn script for that movie. They rehired him to direct that movie. Thank God that franchise is saved. And if they actually do feature Thor in it as well, which it seems like they're going to, whoa, that'd be flipping awesome. I can't wait for that movie. Let's see here next. Oh yeah, speaking of which, Fat Thor. This is actually one of the things that Lacey hated about this movie, is that Thor was fat the entire time. And I'm sitting there thinking, Lace, I am closer to being Fat Thor than Skinny Thor. So I don't know if you're projecting or not. But I loved Fat Thor. I even like that they didn't like have him, I don't know, shoot a bolt of lightning to like Sonobello his big beer belly away. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was great. I thought it didn't really take away from it at all. It was great. I thought that Thor, especially because it wasn't that long. A couple months ago, I watched First Avengers again, and Thor is like a freaking, I don't know. He's just really not that interesting, and especially after Ragnarok, but also like you really started to see it a lot in Age of Ultron. But once Ragnarok came along, it's like we knew who Thor was. We knew exactly what he is, and this movie had it on full display. Thor at his like lowest point. And it was great. It was absolutely amazing. So that was awesome. I really appreciated this movie had lots, given that it was more than likely their last movie together. Iron Man and Captain America, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers had a lot of interaction in this movie. I really love the scene where they go back to the 1970s or 1970, I think it was, to the facility where they steal two of the whatevers. I really love that all the interaction between, I think there's a lot of great chemistry, obviously, between Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, between Tony Stark, Steve Rogers. I really love that we got that level of interaction between them. There was like whole giant chunks of the movie where they were teaming up. And I thought that was really, really spectacular. That was great. Let's see here. Okay, so another thing that I really loved was just straight up the resolution of Captain America and Iron Man. So obviously, if you're watching this, you're totally cool. Spoilers. Iron Man might have been given the best death scene in movies since, I would say, Spock died in Wrath of Khan. Right now it's up there. It is totally up there. They nailed that beat for beat. Absolutely perfect. His death was just absolutely beautiful. It was great. From Peter Parker, saying goodbye to him, to Pepper, and how that was handled, to the funeral where they brought the kid from Iron Man 3 to be there. I thought it was magnificent. It was really touching. There wasn't a dry eye in the theater, including myself. Yes, I wept like a baby. And there was, the greatest thing though, is that, during that scene, right when, Pepper was saying her last goodbye to Tony and telling him that they were going to be okay. This lady had chosen that moment. Remember all those videos that came out? This is when you're supposed to pee during the Avengers. She chose his death scene to go pee because she comes rolling in right when that scene is happening. It kind of took me out for a second, but I just sort of chuckled because I'm like, really, lady? You couldn't have chosen like literally any other time during the movie? That was kind of funny. So I appreciated that. Here's the thing. I kind of knew that Iron Man was going to die in this movie. There had been spoilers all over the place. I had actually managed to keep those spoilers all to myself. But my stepkid, Summer, she had the Iron Man aspect of it spoiled for her. She didn't tell me what the spoiler was. She just told me she was really bummed out that it got spoiled. So I told her, I said, look, just tell me what you heard so that when we go in there, because she's my roll dog. She's like my OG watching these movies together. I said, tell me what it is so that you and I can go in there on the same level, both being spoiled for the same thing. She told me, well, I heard that Iron Man died. And I was like, yeah, I figured that's the case. I figured that would be the case. I thought he was going to die in Infinity War. I mean, just if you pay attention, even kind of close attention to, the Hollywood stuff with him and his contracts and stuff, it's kind of obvious he was going to be the one to die. I did not see the Captain America thing coming at all, and I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was awesome, and I totally choked up. I thought it was a beautiful end, a very creative end for Captain America to have had a fulfilling, wonderful life with Agent Carter. That was beautiful. Kind of along those same lines, I really loved how they explored Dad Iron Man. I thought it was like a perfect character resolution for Iron Man before he died, to see him as a father, a loving father, for him to have interaction with his own dad and put all that stuff into context. It was just, I thought, really, it just was the emotional anchor for the film, and just absolutely beautiful. They cast that little girl perfectly. The little bits of the funeral at the end between the little girl and what's his face, Jon Favreau's character. Get his name now, but anyways, Jon Favreau's character. I thought was all just beautiful, and yeah, that was. I thought all that stuff was really great. And then I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, and then of course, obviously, I liked the giant battle at the end. The battle scene was so beautiful. It was amazing. Everybody from every movie, all in one place, and it was so beautiful. And I loved just the battle scene. Captain America. I haven't marked out in a movie like this in such a long time. The point where Captain America had the Thor hammer. I have not marked out for a movie like that in a very long time. It was absolutely amazing. It was awesome. Captain America had and it was a callback to Age of Ultron, that scene at the party. Oh man, that was awesome. I marked out big time for that. That was amazing. And then when they were all sort of playing football with that, or maybe it was more like rugby, with the new Infinity Gauntlet, and like Black Panther had it, Ant-Man had it, or Hawkeye had it, and Spider-Man had it, and Captain Marvel had it. Oh, it was all great. It was all really fun stuff. All right, now here's the things in the movie that I thought probably weren't all that great, but I was willing to get past them because it was such a fun goddamn movie, and I acknowledge that, my God, they've been working on this forever, and sometimes you just have to take some leaps in logic, and that's okay. Number one, first and foremost, and I know a lot of people are talking about this. I've seen this all over Twitter. I've actually read 2 articles about the subject that made it worse. This was not a good time travel specific movie. They played so fast and loose with the time travel rules. The rules barely even existed. Exactly why it's okay. I sort of was able to wrap my head around it, but with time travel, you can't really have your cake and eat it too. Meaning, you either have the element of paradoxes, the grandfather rule thing where you can't go back in time and kill your granddad because then you wouldn't exist. I know they reference Back to the Future a lot, But this movie did not pay attention to its own time travel rules, and those rules were so loose, anyways. It doesn't make sense that Thanos can do what he did, get decapitated by Thor in like the first act, and then back in 2014 show up in the future in 2023, I guess would have been, and then get killed. I kind of get what they were saying in that everything, basically the way they rewrote the rules of time travel is everything is as it is. You can go back in time, mess with the time stream, and as long as all the Infinity Stones are in place at all times, then it doesn't matter what you do in time. Because for Thanos to come from 2014 and then come into the future and get killed, that should have precluded him from then going on to do what he did anyways. And then Nebula killed herself from the past and nothing happened to her. So they were playing really fast and loose with these rules. I sort of went past it because, like, okay, well, they had that whole scene where the Ancient One was explaining it to Banner with the little line and then the little separate line, and then he got rid of the line by putting the stones in place. But in terms of a time travel movie, man, come on. Nobody can explain that shit correctly. And then Captain America was able to go back in time, and he was with Peggy Carter, and he led his life while things were still happening. I didn't care, because the emotional weight of the movie was such that, and it's a comic book movie, like there are going to be massive leaps in logic. Iron Man has been like thrashed movie after movie in that suit, and in this one he gets knocked, he hits his head on the rock, and he's sort of woozy. And it's like, nah, dude, come on, like that. I didn't care about all that stuff because it's a comic book movie, who cares? But it's worth pointing out that, and then I read this article on Polygon. What is this thing called? I sent it to Hilton. Avengers Endgame's confusing timeline actually makes sense. Here's why. And then it goes on to completely contradict that because they don't make a lick of sense in that article. I read it twice. Hilton read it. He said, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It actually makes the case worse. Thanks, Polygon. So, yeah, the whole time travel element of the movie was just it was fast and loose, man, which is whatever. But, yeah. Let's see here. What else? So, and then getting back to the time travel stuff a little bit. So, half the population comes back, but it's now 5 years later. They just pick up their lives. They rebuild the planet. Fine, whatever. I guess we're supposed to assume, and I'm assuming they're going to bring up the whole Thanos thing in Spider-Man, whatever that movie's called, the next Spider-Man movie. But, like, so I guess we're to assume that Peter Parker came back. He's still the same age, obviously, that he was when he got snapped. But then we're to assume that everybody that's relevant to him in this next Spider-Man movie, like MJ, and then, what was his name? Sam? Was that his name? The fat kid. They all got snapped too. Everybody relevant to him got snapped and then came back 5 years older. Is that what we're supposed to assume? I guess that's what we're supposed to assume, which is totally fine. It's just when he was at school and he was looking around and then he sees his friend, it's like, okay, so we're supposed to make the connection that, oh, he got snapped too. Now they're in the same boat. And then everybody that Spider-Man knows and loves and is going to be in that next movie is going to be the same age as him. Or that was, I don't know, whatever. It's kind of a mess. Let's see here. What else did I like? Oh, yeah, Hawkeye. God damn, that dude murdered a lot of people, apparently. Like, he was just killing people left and right. There's not really a lot of consequences for him. Like, he totally should have been the one to die. Going down that cliff. Like, that should have been him to get the Soul Stone. He murdered a lot of people. And how are they going to do the Black Widow movie? God, I hope it's not a prequel. I don't like prequels. I hope they bring her back. Because she needs her own. She's going to have her own movie. Let's see here. That's kind of a stupid thing. It was a long-ass movie. That battle at the end didn't really necessitate all that, like, Shuri didn't really get any, literally didn't, I don't think, have any lines. There was some character interaction that I wish would have taken place, but that's a really small quibble. It was a long-ass movie, and they had to do a lot of stuff. And then, of course, my last quibble, which is the smallest, stupidest quibble, there was no post-credit scene. There was just the clanking, which apparently was Tony Stark creating the Iron Man armor in the cave in that first Iron Man movie that kicked everything off. There was just that. But, you know, I like post-credit scenes, maybe setting up, I don't know, them bringing the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the Fantastic Four, which does sort of bring up the question, where do they go from here? I mean, I get it, it's Endgame. It was not, you know, they shouldn't have a post-credit scene, but I kind of wanted one. So yeah, that's the question now, is where do they go from here? They have a great cast of characters who are set to sort of take the mantles of the other ones. Whether they'll be able to, 10 years from now, have, if they're going to follow the same blueprint, which I think would probably make sense, if they're going to have another huge, spectacular thing 10 years from now, they got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of lightning to capture in a bottle, because they had something really, really special with this cast, with Captain America, Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and of course Chris Hemsworth, who seems content to be Thor for probably ever. So yeah, we'll see how all that plays out. But I'm looking forward to it. It's been a crazy 11 years, and that was a hell of a way to end on. And hopefully it breaks all the records at the box office. I know right now it's already smashing a bunch of records. Hopefully it breaks Avatar's record, because that movie's trash. So yeah, anyways, that's what I thought about Avengers Endgame. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I'm sure some of you will be trying to defend the time travel element. I'll just save your breath. It's okay. You don't have to. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. It's okay. Still thought it was a fun movie. You can too. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Just saying, time travel shit, you can explain it all you want. Doesn't make any sense. Till next time, talk to you guys later. Hey friendos, I've opened up a new shop for all things Steve here, including my comics and art prints, stickers, and hopefully more. It's the Friendo Workshop, and you can go there now at friendoworkshop.com.